show and we'll fly. Yeah. You don't have to feel like you're on your own. No one should have to dance alone, not tonight. You and me, we're gonna write a little history. You and me, just show me love and then you'll see. Memories that we make, they are never gonna fade for a lifetime. We don't give no shit if you wanna hide away. We just have you trying to play. Second feels up in the memory bank. I've been looking for somebody to make memories in the bank forever in time. There's no reason to be hard to find, 'cause we've already lost our mind. You and me, we're gonna write a little history. You and me, just show me love and then you'll see. Memories that we make, they
Shots into Tokyo, and Tokyo needs to. I don't think he knows the dangerous situation he is in, but he perhaps is able to spoil it, to sense it. Oh my god! The Kobe Biao got ammo wrecked! Uh-oh, I think he is in deep trouble. Can't move back, because if he moves back, the ice ball will be ready to. Oh! Hello and good evening, everyone. We're following the Summer Season Championship Group 1 on the Asia server. Tonight, it's going to be probably the most exciting match out of all of them. I mean, there are a lot of really exhilarating matchups, and they will all be streamed. Two of them will be in Mandarin. One of them will be in Korean and will be streamed on his YouTube channel as well. And I'll be following GB versus ID tonight. So if you want to follow, if you want to watch other, follow other games as well, please do. Although I would pretty much prefer you to stay behind and watch my stream and follow my commentary as always. Let's actually see if I'm going to keep on going first, because this is the pro tournament format. Monetary prizes. I'm very sure there is something here. Yes. First day it will be two best of 9 games. The first one it will be a knockout round. So first of all, we will have these knockout rounds. First versus 8th place, third versus 6th place in Group 1 from the Cups leaderboard. Group 2 we have said 2nd versus 7th place and 4th place versus 5th place. They will be played the best of 9 series, and the second game will decide the first and second place of each group. So that one is not that important, but it's going to affect the seeding for tomorrow, which is going to be a 14 elimination, double elimination. First day will be a best of 5, second day best of 7, third day, which is also grand final, best of 9. And it will be seeded with the upper bracket first round as first in one of the groups versus second in another group. So hopefully it's got self-explanatory. The reason why you're seeing the spring season background here is because the summer season championship has the same monetary prize as the spring season. So here is the amount of real money you can earn, and you can earn when you finish top 4. So the match you're going to be seeing will be very crucial, very vital, and if the team wins that round, they will get monetary prizes. Group stage first round, we are going to be seeing Rockfield, Fort Despair, Oasis Palms, Dynasty's Pearl, and Alpenstadt. And group stage second round, we have Normandy, Canal, Himmelsdorf, Blackgoville, Yukon, and Normandy, Canal, Himmelsdorf, Blackgoville, and Yukon. And this is the timeline for you. Many thanks to Winterfox for making this from 28th to the 31st, not the 30th, 31st of July. These will be when the games will be held and lots of interesting stuff going on. And do make sure to follow my coverage and also a lot of different streamers' coverage. And this is the schedule. The group stage first round. I have to say I switched it around. Sorry about that. I think I will have to change it the next stream. First round will begin very soon. In 11 minutes. Second round in about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to change this one for the EU server, which is a little bit of a mistake here. ID team, we're going to be seeing Radioactive as the captain of the team. We also have all new LDS, Rosen, Campen, Active Duty, Lanny, Spartan, Sword Clan, Percy, and last one for me. This is primarily a Korean clan, and last time in the spring season they did very well. They finished second place, even though they only clinched the top 8 spots at the very last previous skill tournament. For the winter season, they finished in the third place, losing to Feast. And I mean, Feast went on to finish second for the winter season, and even more backwards. We have ID finishing third, also in the autumn season. Yes, in the autumn season, and that season HLV won for the Asian. And spring season ID won the first place. So can ID do some amazing things tonight and go all the way and win the title? But they will be meeting a very tight opponent, a very good opponent, which is going to be GB. We have Berlin as the captain of the team. We also have Capricorn, Doha, Professor, Yoga, Gavinda, Sale, Yakuza, Monaco, Arena User, and Tokyo. GB has been really strong this season. I think the strongest I've seen so far. I think it's even better than the winter season, but pretty much because the winter season, GB only did very well during the winter season championship. I mean, the previous skill is okay. It's not the worst, but not at their best, I have to say. But this season, from start to finish, they are pretty much on top of their form. Probably not the last Gold Series though. But GB will be a huge favorite for winning the entire thing, and winning against ID would be very important. To make sure I have to log in into the game. And Mabox is predicting the following results. We are seeing NQE7 losing to Feast 3-5, E7 losing to HLV 4-5, ID losing to GB 4-5, EA winning ECG 5-1. So the match we're following tonight. Mapbox is predicting a tiebreaker, and GB will be edging this one through. Challenges tournament, we have King 5-4 against Wild, RN 5-1 against RI, Der 5-4 against DTG, and 9v5-4 against E4D. All of them will be very close, but RN seems to be the one that should be able to beat RI quite comfortably. So I think for the Asia server, we are in for exciting matches tonight, and they will all be very close. Will we see some upsets? We'll find out soon. And if you want to donate to the stream, here are the links that you can do so. And thank you very much for all the donations yesterday from the top 8 previous streams. I haven't had a chance to thank everyone for that, and I really hope to see support from you guys on to either GB or ID. That will be very much appreciated. Okay, so as I only know, matchups aren't visible to me. I mean, whichever streamer is following which, that is not visible to me. So I have to say, I don't know which Chinese streamer is following which, but hopefully they know, they know themselves. So anyway, oh, I'm already in the Asia server. And I think a lot of you are waiting for Brambo's prediction. Don't worry, I will issue that tonight while I spend time in the afternoon coding everything up. It will take some time though, because there are lots of results to enter, and that will take some time. And especially when, for example, it's going to be straight second team. I have results from that team, and then Pincer, I'll use their first team anyway, because they only played half their matches in the season, so it doesn't matter which one we are going to be using as the one for prediction. But let's actually go to the lounge, and here we are. This is going to be what to expect. Actually, no. I'm going to say Feast will be playing against NQE7. I don't know which streamer is following that. And then we have E7 versus HLV, another important match. One of the two Chinese streamers, so I'd have no idea which one is which. So after that we have ID versus GB, that will be followed by me, and EA versus ECG, that will be followed by JG06, which is very interesting because both EA and ECG are Chinese clans, so for them not to be followed by a Chinese streamer, this is very weird. But equally, I'm following ID tonight versus GB, so well, you can say I'm a bit hypocritical about that here, but anyway. Let's go in and follow this matchup. It's going to be ID versus GB, and obviously you know that. Why is it any different? Hope that it's going to navigate me to the right source. And I think for the game that would show soon. That I'm streaming. Right. Is it the right one? That should be the right one. Thank you. Okay, good. Let's officially go into this. Oh, I have to say start. Forgot to do so. Start guessing now. We still have some time, so you should have already seen in the chat. You should start guessing. Almost forgot to do that, but you have a lot of time. Guess the third game. Guess the third match. The total damage done. In this, okay. Let me just rephrase it better. Guess in the third match the damage done altogether by ID. So do it now. ID's third match, what is their total damage done by all 7 players? Remember to put your in-game name and server region, and obviously the damage number. So if you don't, then your entry will not be considered. There are 5 battle passes to give away here, so do so if you haven't done it already. I will stop the guess. I will announce it after the first match. So it's not a lot of time to guess. So if you haven't done it, do it now. Here we go. We are on Rockfield. Let's go in officially. Unfortunately, I don't think we have. We are. I don't think spectators are allowed. It seems last of will be an only are on the subs bench, but not spectating. We're going to be seeing Radioactive at the IS4 alongside Lanny. Double T125s by Van Persie and LDS. Spartan Sword and the M60 Double Crown by Active Duty and Frozen. On the other hand, we have Berlin. Double IS4 by Berlin. By Berlin and Tokyo. Come on, I'm not really quite warmed up yet. So, Professor in the Vickers Light, Yoga Govinda in the M60, Doha and Yakuza Double Crown, Monaco in the T110E5. So, ID will begin on the north side, red team, while GB will begin on the south side, blue team. And we're going to go in very soon. This is a map that you will be expecting Vegas Light, because the spots are very important at the start and also during the mid-game phases where you need to know where the tanks are positioned. So you can either plan for rotation to get back the cap lead, or you can plan for a defensive setup to prevent the other team from breaking your defensive lineup down. So the Vegas Light is very important, so I'm not very sure if it's a good idea for Team ID to not use any mediums or lights at all, but they will give the team a lot of hit points. So this is something that GB needs to be careful of. They need to chip away the hit points of ID better. Not equally. They can't trade equally, because equally GB will still not have the hit point pool advantage, and they will struggle in the rotation. As I always say, you need a good hit point pool advantage to either defend or to attack. If one team doesn't have a big hit point pool advantage, I mean, if they are under a hit point pool disadvantage, then they will struggle in defending. That is not to say I saw teams before doing really well despite having a lot of hit point pool disadvantage at the start. It seems I'm loading in late at GB. Let's go and let's look at Professor here. Professor in the Vegas Light. He's a little bit slow though. He's not actually getting a spots up, but looking to get A first. So GB might be playing for caps. No, I don't think so. LDS spotted up Professor, but Lanny got smacked by a lot, so that's not a good start for ID. GB will be defending there. At the moment we are seeing Professor. Professor has taken some hits, but Active Duty might be going for A, and we'll get the cap up. I do have to see if I will close Spotify. It seems it's kind of the main reason why I'm having a lot of issues with the frames per second. It's dropped to 0 momentarily. Active Duty tries to cap A, but it's not able to do so because Yakuza is there to stop that from happening. C might be captured by Radioactive, and Frozen is typing something maybe in Korean that it's not visible on my end, and ID is forced to defend a little bit, but A is not going to be captured. It's going to be C that is captured by Radioactive, and Berlin is looking at B. Oh, he's trying to go into a very aggressive position, but might get far by Radioactive, but actually did equally. It's now getting pushed and under a lot of trouble. ID is struggling to hold. The hit points are now with GB at the moment, and that kill on Active Duty might be what they need to inspire them for a win. And they are now pushing in now. They're looking for Van Persie next. And ID are struggling to hold on. And GB seems to have punched a really big hole in ID's defense. And ID with 2 clippers there defending DPM is going to be a bit low. And Spartan Sword is taken down very quickly. And GB is really looking strong now. Frozen is going to be the next tank down. Tracked. And going to be the Sorry Focus, and Tokyo kills Frozen off, and the next tank they will go for will be LDS. Some tanks would go for Lanny instead, because Lanny has fewer hit points and they don't need to send like 7 tanks onto one single tank. Monaco is down, LDS is down, and Yakuza is also down. So it's now going to be 2 versus 5. This is looking really solid for GB at the moment here. Doha is going to reload to second shell and will look to put a great shell into Lanny, not radioactive. I thought he would go for radioactive, but it doesn't matter at this point. There are still 5 tanks alive against 2 tanks. You don't really have to focus fire at this point. Lanny's now dead, and radioactive is now the last person standing. Professor, great shot into radioactive. Radioactive on fire as well, and will be killed by Doha in the end. Great game by GV, and ID would be a little bit baffled as to how weak their defensive setup was at that point. But I think they tried very hard to get a base on A, actually, and they dropped so many hit points in doing so. So I'll have to say, if they could have relied on that tank capturing C, then maybe it could have been a better, maybe they could fare a lot better, because ID just simply got farmed and just got chipped away a lot of hit points there. Overall, they and GV just simply, did very well in punishing ID for a little bit the slightest of mistakes, peeking out a little bit. And you can see 7 tanks doing more than 2,000 damage, and this is what I love to see. And this proves that every single tank of GB is very crucial and very important. And it's much better than seeing a particular player scoring like 7,000 damage. And it's great start for GB actually. And we're on to the second match, ID versus GB. ID looks a little bit off at the moment. I think they need that Vickers Light to kind of get more information up, because GB, that Vickers Light, although I don't think that Professor has done a lot in the last one. It's more to do with the heavies really doing a fantastic job in chipping away hit points of ID at the start. And ID defensive lineup looks pretty strong, but there are a couple of isolated targets. But not to say it's not to say that they're taking positions that are not good. I think a lot of teams are doing that, but it seems that they are not too well connected, or I don't know what to say about this one, but GB breaks them down quite easily, like butter. So stop guessing now if you haven't done so. Stop guessing now. Any guesses after this one would not be counted. And let's see, which team have your jinxed here? Come on. Let's go. I think I have a little bit of a difficulty with lots of issues with the computer. GB so far, it's 1-0 for GB. And you're all saying ID with this one. 60% of you are saying this. And so far GB's leading 1-0, so you never know. GB this time with Professor going to the old spot for spot. That's a little bit of a tongue twister here, but spotted up ID's tanks going into C. I do see like this north side, more Vickers like going back to the old way, and it still works. If it ain't broken, why fix it? And I heard another great phrase as well related to that. If you try to fix something that is not broken, you might actually break something. And I don't know about this one, but Van Persie got quite careless there and took a big chunk of damage from the crossfire of GB, and ID has to be really careful here. They have to chip away hit points of GB. Hit points are neck and neck though, so I hope they don't get too flustered when seeing Van Persie taking so many hits there. But they have done fine. Doha received some hits, and but still GB has the hit point pool advantage. But ID is trying. Professor is there near A, might get A, but Radioactive will be there to reset A, so I don't think A will be captured. Lanny's getting shot at as well. It seems ID's going to a bit aggressive on C now. And oh my goodness me, a lot of hit points been dropped for Active Duty and Lanny here. GV's doing fine here, and they're looking to get a little bit more aggressive, but equally, GV, those Kramwagens are in some sort of trouble. Berlin's under crossfire, so this is actually really close to call. Tokyo is coming from below, looking for Lanny here. GV is still holding on. Frozen's trying to be a little bit more aggressive, but gets shot at by GV, so it seems both teams more like to do with ID a little bit, not as careful. But Frozen's being taken out by GB. Great job here. I think this breakthrough can be what GB needs. But ID seems to be doing well on killing those Kramwagens as well. No, probably Berlin's the next tank down, but this is going to be a big mess you're seeing here. Berlin is now dead. It's now 4 versus 5. Active Duty's down to 716 hit points. And we're seeing Monaco dropping the reactive armor tracked, taking even more hits, now down to a 2-shot. And this is still really close to call. Hit points still neck and neck. Active Duty now down to 1 shot, but Monaco is dead. Yoga Gavina not in position to kill Active Duty, so actually ID might be coming out on top here. Tokyo is quite low, but not in line, in the line of fire for those low hit point targets. But Radioactive is running 1 versus 1 against Professor. It seems Professor will be winning this one, and it's now going to be 3 versus 4. Still very close to call, but 2 really healthy tanks for ID. That could be all the difference that ID needs, but it's going to be really close. Yoga Gavin is almost reloaded, might be able to kill LDS over here, but it's a bounce first on LDS. Great shot into LDS, but that's a terribly low row. And I don't think Yoga Gavin is able to kill off LDS. That could be very, very big here. Yakuza is dead. And it's now going to be 2 versus 3. ID is leading in hit points, but Yoga Gavin, those 2 bounces might be a little bit too much and will be killed by LDS. I think this might seal the game for ID, but there is a Professor, which is still really healthy and unable to go with LDS. Another big bounce here. Oh dear, oh dear. ID looking very strong, but finally Professor kills off LDS, but got killed by Spartan Sword with a terrific edgy shell from the backside. And Tokyo will be the last tank standing unless Spartan Sword just got a little bit, just got ping issues, or suddenly his phone died. Well, let's hope that's not going to be the case, because because ID looks set to win this one next. It's going to be 1-1. Oh wow. Oh wow. What a close game it was. I have to say, I'm very impressed for ID here. ID, despite all the I don't know if it's a mistake or not, but they are not very, very careful with trying to apply pressure on GB. GB is able to chip away so many hit points of ID there. But I think the breakthrough started when ID focused down on the Kramwagens, double Kramwagens, and Berlin there. That was good focus from ID, but Frozen got a little bit too careless there. Almost cost ID the game. But it was pretty much the last minute crucial bounces from Yoga Govinda and also Professor pretty much condemned GB in this match. And I have to say, GB did pretty much all the right things until the very last minute, when I think they got a little bit too nervous and they bounced quite a lot of important shells, and sometimes those important shells would decide the outcome of this game. Sadly, it decided that ID will win this one. GB is going to make it to 1-1. No, ID will make it to 1-1, and we are now on to Fort Despair. It will be a very good map for ID. They love heavies, and GB, they will not be able to use a medium or light tank. Fort Despair is not a good map for that. Hello, Mutsu. Very nice. I mean, please stop saying the same thing over and over again. You will get muted by moderators, and please don't try. Please don't ruffle the feathers of Mutsu. You know, Mutsu is not going to be, it's not going to be nice if you keep on ruffling the feathers. Alright, alright, we're seeing ID, red team south spawn, GV blue team north spawn this time. GV is going to take a lot of IS4s, double IS4, double mouse, a crown, an M60 and a T125. ID on the other hand, GV going for A obviously. ID on the other hand taking triple 50Bs, double mouse, double T125. Very interesting call for triple 50Bs. I think now that the kind of the armors, how the armors is shown is now changed. Nothing realistically is changed. Like the armor thickness is not changed at all, but the indicator is changed. The indication is changed. So this is why some teams take more 50Bs nowadays. But still, I mean, GB is a really good team. They know where to pan, but it's going to distract GB a little bit if they see something red. Yakuza is going to be capturing B. Frozen will be there to reset B and unable to decap B, but it's not going to be a big problem because ID has the hit point pool cap lead. Does not have the hit point pool lead though. They have to be really careful. The 50Bs can be very volatile. Their side armor and their back, their rear armor are paper thin, so they can get actually really easily. You have to be really careful. It does have good DPM though, so that is this. So they have to use it wisely. But it seems GB looking to push onto Radioactive, and their backyard is getting pushed by ID. ID playing this really fluidly. And Monaco's indeed in trouble dropping the reactive armor and is trying to run away, but I think Active Duty will be there to shut Monaco down. Radioactive still alive for unknown reasons, and it's finally dead. And it's now going to be 6 versus 5 with Yoga Govinda also dead. ID, the focus fire is coming through here. GV's focus fire is a little bit off. And that could be the reason why ID is going to win this one. Or maybe not. Because they still don't have the hit point pool advantage. So Tokyo is now dead. That brings it to 5 versus 4. There are still really healthy tanks on GB side. Spartan Swords running away from Doha and is going to reload. And obviously, you do want to stay in a good position while you're on the clip reload. But GB is going to focus the mouse, however. LD is almost down, and this is now going to be 4 versus 4. Doha is very low. Frozen is going to come in, but Active Duty is going to come in, put shots into Berlin. One shot and killed by Spartan Sword, but need to put more shells in, and that tank got eviscerated very quickly. Frozen will be putting a great shell into Doha, but it's a bounce though. Has to be careful though. Yakuza can put a great 80 shell to the backside of Van Persie. Hit was still of GB, however, and it's now going to be 3 versus 2 with the Yakuza there. I think the clip could potentially kill off Spartan Sword. It is going to be the case, and unable to put shells into Yakuza, and GV's looking strong now. Frozen is now going to be brawling with Yakuza in the mouse, but I think the focus will be on Professor probably, because that clip can be very dangerous, and Van Persie has to be really careful to get clipped out by Professor. Has to be very careful. Yakuza receives a bounce. I think Frozen got a little bit distracted there. Van Persie looking to kill off Yakuza in the end, but so many bounces happening. This is why you should be taking. You should be not focus the mouse, because the mouse can bounce a lot of crucial shells. And I think Yakuza will be there to kill off Frozen. It's going to be the case, and Van Persie on a drum reload looking for Professor in the end. And Professor will be killing off Van Persie. Great job to GB. I think the problem this time, ID, the 50Bs mistimed their push in the end. And you can see when they have the full clip, GB just removed that tank out of the battle. And suddenly, ID's the 50Bs, although doing a very great job in this battle, they suddenly became very ineffective, and the Zeus Mousers and the T125s haven't done very much. Radioactive got focused down at the very start. ID with good focus fire, but the 50Bs mistimed their pushes pretty much. And GB just, focused those 50Bs down first, because, the clip potential can be very deadly. And you also have the very juicy side and rear armor, and it's Fiesta for HE shells. And GB puts those HE shells from behind at the side, and it's going to be a very important win for GB. That brings it to 2-1 for GB now. an ID. I think they have to change this setup. I do like to see 50 Bs on the battlefield, but 3 of them would be a bit too, maybe a bit overkill considering Fort Despair. It's a very heavy oriented map, and you see a lot of IS-4s and Mouses here, and Kramwagens, and not a lot of mediums or lights. I mean, in fact, 0 in this one. So, 50 Bs, I don't think it's a really good choice for Despair. I do like their idea though. I do like their strategy, but it's going to be quite demanding in terms of getting the timing right for the push. And we are now going to be seeing ID double Kramwagen, double T125, double IS-4 and Mouse for the ID side with GB, IS-4 with Berlin and Tokyo, double T125, double Mouse, and a Kramwagen. So we're seeing pretty much an identical lineup for both teams. Maybe a little bit of tank changes, but both teams playing tanks that is to be expected. Or playing tanks that's to be expected, and also pretty close. I mean, GB only taking 1 Kramwagen, only taking only 1 Mouse, so I think hit points will be with GB by just around 600 hit points. So absolutely, 2 shells will flip it back to ID's favor. So ID needs those 2 shells, 2 penetrations on GB side. Okay, let's see about GB versus ID here. GB will be committing their forces over to the northwestern corner, and ID also doing the same thing. Spartan Sword spotted. I don't think he's able to put a shot into Professor, isn't it? He's going to not do that. Professor will be trying to hold down in this position. Good spot to hold down. I always say the northwestern corner is better for the south side, not for the north side. And it seems GB is making use of that, and Professor is really making use of this position to apply pressure onto Van Persie, Spartan Sword, and Lasso for me. So does that mean ID will be aggressive over to B side, because there are only 3 tanks, but Doha for some reason has taken so many hits already, and that is not good stuff for GB at all. I mean, GB doesn't want this. Radioactive in this push has to be really careful. I think. Have they opened the Pandora's box? Radioactive get absolutely annihilated right here. And it's now down to a 1-shot. GB looking to shut down the tanks over to northwestern corner. Monaco is under a lot of pressure. And I think ID lost a bit of focus, concentration here. They're looking at different targets. Monaco is now down to 1-shot, but Last of Me is looking at another target. Radioactive is now finally dead, and GB still retains the hit point advantage, and Lasso for me kills on Monaco. Yoga giving the bounce onto Lasso for me. Yoga giving the drop the reactive armor, will be receiving a lot of hits, and that reactive armor can be very important in this situation. Lasso for me, great shot into Yoga giving the, and Yoga giving the gets ammo wrecked. Active duty is now killed. And we are now seeing LDS looking for Professor. So sad news for Yoga Gavinda here, despite using the reactive armor, gets ammo wrecked at the end. So that reactive armor didn't really got any good use. Wasn't put into good use in the end, which is not his problem. Berlin is now finally dead, and it's now going to be 3 versus 3. This looks strong for ID, but you would never know, because second match of Rockfield, GB was leading hit points for most of the time, and ID won. GB can absolutely do this if ID slips up. With Lasso for me down, double mouse onto Van Persie. Well, I think I might have called it too early. GB might be able to win this one. The double mouses can be very important with their armor. And Van Persie now down to a 1-shot. Professor will be toying around with Spartan Sword still very healthy. Yakuza brawling against Van Persie here. Professor's now finally dead. And it's now 1 versus 2. This is now going to be close. Hit points are now neck and neck. Hello to Biscuit, and it's a bounce from Spartan Sword onto Yakuza. The frontal armor of GB of those bouncers are put into good use. Spartan Sword will be looking to capture B, but I think Yakuza will be there to stop that from happening. Yakuza still relatively healthy. Good ratio into Yakuza onto Spartan Sword. It's now 1 versus 1. This is going to be so crucial. Spartan Sword needs to penetrate every shell, and Yakuza will be making sure it's not going to make it easy for Spartan Sword to penetrate. He's now trying to angle his turret up. Unable to bounce the shell though. And now we're going to be seeing on his right side Doha coming in. Great shots from Spartan Sword into Yakuza. Spartan Sword bounces that shell from Doha. That's going to be very crucial indeed. And Spartan Sword is going to be reloading a little bit slow. But it's now down to a 2-shot realistically. And it's a bounce onto Yakuza from Spartan Sword. And that bounce would mean that I think GB will win this one, and it's now going to be 3-1 for GB. Wow, what a game it was. GB pulling it back in the end, but I think ID got quite distracted with that push in the mid game. That kind of cost ID the game, and leaving the mouses till the last. It seems ID has ID lost this one because they left their mouses at the last. I know I always say leave the mouses till the last, but those double mouses from GB did more than 10,000 damage altogether, killing 3 tanks on the way. So I think it's kind of a catch-22 now. Sometimes, yes, good idea to leave the mouses because the mouses are very slow. They have a lot of armor, but if you left it, but sometimes they can do a lot of damage. Especially when that mouse is in the battle and ramming all the tanks they see. And ID only 3 tanks doing more than 2k, and GV 4 tanks doing more than 2k. We're now onto Oasis Palms, and ID needs to win some matches here because GV now looking very dominant, and it looks like they will be qualifying to the top 4. We're getting some prizes. I'm gonna say hello to everyone following this stream so far. Hopefully we have more viewers soon. There we go. Let's go up high now. To the back of the match, to the back of the map, and get the transition going. It's now going to be ID versus GB on the Oasis Palms. ID, they're now going to be taking a triple crown, a single 50B, a mouse, a T135, and a focus light. Let's look at Spartan Sword. Not able to spot up any tanks at the moment, and GB on the other hand will be going for double crown, an ice for a mouse, double T135, and a Vicus light. Okay, so here we go. Yakuza is getting spotted. Has to be careful though, but he can't escape that shot pretty much. So great shot into Yakuza by Spartan Sword, and LDS great shot into Monaco as well. So I think ID is getting a good tempo flowing here, but GB will be getting A more quickly than ID is. Oh, LDS already dropping quite a lot of hit points already in that area, unable to side strip some of the shells. Great shot to Yakuza, however, but gets a shot in return, so that doesn't really count in the end. So it's now going to be hit points with GB, and are they going to keep on pushing? Professor is there in the biggest light. I think ID it's getting a little bit impatient here, or is it not? They're trying to get very aggressive positions to hold down and so on. Apply pressure onto GB, but they have to absolutely make sure they are able to chip away hit points of GB so far. They are under more than 1,000 hit points of deficit. So that's going to make it difficult for ID to push. But Lanny's going in. Great shot into Yakuza. Can he put another shell into Yakuza? It's another great shot into Yakuza, and Radioactive might be able to put shells into Yakuza, but it's a bounce onto Yakuza. Lanny gets double tapped. Hit points still with GB though, and they're almost leading by 2,000 now. This is looking very good for GB at the moment, and I think GB might be looking to wrap things round. But I think Berlin makes a critical mistake here, gets purple-tracked, and is going to be killed. Oh, that bounce here. Can he go back? No. Oh my lord, Berlin will be regretting that move here. Went out, I think, got a little bit too careless here. And now ID is feeling this. He's feeling the momentum. They're now looking to kill Yoga, give it the next with Radioactive, and also Van Persie there. Spartans was coming, and also Active Duty will be driving it, at maximum speed to support their teammates. Van Persie's killed by Yakuza, and now Spartan Sword is looking for the T110E5s, and I think this is where AMX50B is going as well. Active Duty looking for the T110E5s. ID has to do their absolute best to hold down the middle. Last of me is now dead, and you see now Spartan Sword and also Active Duty working in tandem. Tokyo is going to be the next tank down, but Active Duty gets absolutely smacked by GB's tanks, and is going to be killed despite having full clip in the tank, and goes on to show that the 50B is still very, very fragile at the moment. And we're seeing Radioactive, LDS, and also Spartan Sword, that important kill onto Tokyo, and Professor's trying to get C. Capwoods will be with GB now, and Krav Bargain will be focused by these two tanks. Radioactive's going to come down, but a great show into Doha, and Doha great show into Radioactive as well. I think the Vickers Light of Spartan Sword might be looking to support their teammates here on Doha, and maybe they want to kill off Professor next, but they have to hurry up though, because if they don't, if they also lose a tank, GB could win this one by caps. So they have to be very careful about this one. I think the safest thing to do for now is to get a cap, at least to stop the cap increase. They might be able to kill Professor, but Professor's quick enough to run away to evade the forces of ID. And I think Spartan Sword is now looking for a base capture on C here. And I think ID will be looking to get A as well. They had to get that cap stop, but they are also in danger of losing another tank too. Radioactive is on the ammo rack, and we are seeing LDS also a little bit low in hit points. And Professor bounces onto Radioactive as well. And A and C are going to be captured by ID. That's going to be really good. And Radioactive is going to put a shell into Professor, I would say. Spartan Sword misses onto Professor, looking for that kamikaze onto Professor. This is going to be critical. A is going to be captured by LDS, but that's just that's a failsafe. In the end, they killed off that Vickers Light in the end, which is Professor, and ID bring it back to 2-3. Well done. Ooh, well done all. ID 4 tanks doing more than 2k, and GB 5 tanks doing more than 2k. What is going on with Berlin? That was a terrible, terrible move there. I think GB got a bit too overconfident into, they have a hit point pool lead, and they think that they think that ID's forces are quite isolated. I do agree with that on here, but it seems they overlooked the importance of ID's positioning in terms of getting crossfire, and Berlin just getting whooped and sent back to the garage, and it's now going to be 2-3. ID, well done there. I think that kill on Berlin pretty much inspired ID to do really well and prevent GB heading into a tiebreaker. And can ID win the next one to bring it back to 3-3? That means game is on. Wow. What a match it was. DD, how to win on Asia, bounce less. One of the huge factors, yes, bounce fewer shots. I mean, it could also be just both teams getting very, very nervous. we all have nerves. We do see it from time to time on the EU server. Bounced shots happen every time. But if you can minimize the bounced shots, then you're able to have a good advantage. So this time we're going to be seeing ID double crown by Last of Us and Percy double bounce by Spartan Soul and LDS double T125 by Radioactive and Lanny Activity IS4 GB double crown by Yoga Givida Doha double T125 by Monaco and Tokyo Yakuza bounce Professor Vickers Light Berlin IS4. I got it! Yay! Yay! Yeah, it should not bounce shots, yes. But nerfs still happen. Okay. Alright, here we go. ID. North side will be happening mostly to A this time. GB doing the same thing as last time. And here we go. C is going to be captured by Professor, but ID once again playing with no mediums or legs. It's going to be a little bit weird on the map like Voices Palms, where it's very open, and not sure if that's the best idea, but that will give them some hit point pool lead, that's for sure. And GB has to be really careful, but Professor can be very important in securing, you know, C, maybe A or B, and maybe even isolating Van Persie there. Wow. So let's go. Monaco receives a little bit of hit, but it seems ID this time is a lot more compact, unable to chip away hit points of GB. GB's made a very bold call to be aggressive on A, and ID is welcoming GB with full arms. And certainly this seems to backfire tremendously, and GB's now on the vertical straight line. They try to side straight one another, but it doesn't work this way. Berlin's going to be the focus for ID, so ID is looking very strong this time. Last of them is now going to be down to 2 shots, but Berlin's taking out first. Next time they're going for will be probably Doha or Monaco. They have to decide, because LES is going to go down at any minute now. It's going to go down, and Yoga Govinda is going to be next tank down for GB. But Last of them is now killed. Yoga Govinda is still able to hang on. Hit point still neck and neck, however. Van Persie, great shot into Yoga Govinda, but it's now going to be killed. Monaco is now down to 1 shot as well, so that brings it to 4-4. Lenny's on fire, unable to put the fire out. Oh, I think that's very important now. Lanny's going to go down. That ram from Tokyo is unable to kill off Lanny, but with Doha now dead, I'm not sure if Lanny's going to survive for long. And great shot into Tokyo as well. ID needs to get a focus fire right. They need to focus the tank down. They're looking for I don't know, Radioactive having some turret issues here, and it's going to be killed by Tokyo. And Spartan Source now dead, leaving active duty the last person standing. And oh my goodness me, ID is like they fell off pretty hard in the focus fire in the middle. I think GB, that push there was a little bit uncalled for, but in the end GB just responded very well and really punished ID for that lack of focus fire there. And GB, the focus fire is better, and this is why they won this match here, and they still have quite some hit points to spare, and that brings it to 4-2 for GB. GB is now on a match point. Well done here. ID 4 tanks doing on 2k, GB 6 tanks doing on 2k. ID, their focus fire is a little bit off. I think they went for different targets in the mid to late game phases. They have to focus now, because the next match, if GB wins, ID is out of top 4, and GB will qualify to the top 4, and they have to focus now. ID, you know. They need to get a focus fire right. They looked very they looked They looked out of focus in the last one. Despite GB, that push on A was well received by ID. ID were in positions. They did really well to shut Berlin first, but after that they got a little bit confused into taking which tag next, taking which tag out next, and it's going to be 4-2, and GB on the match point will be looking very confident now, and on a map like Dynasty's Pro, it's going to be a really good map for GB because it's a heavy oriented map. And let's see about this one. ID 2-4 against GB at the moment. Please don't tell me Python is crashing. Oh, thank you, Turth, for the nice comment. Let's go in. Dynasty's Pro, 7th match. ID versus GB. GB's on the match point here. As you can see, GB will be taking double IS4, double crown, double mouse, and Vickers light as a typical setup. But we don't see a lot of medium or lights here often because of the long and narrow corridors and also a typical closed map. ID on the other hand going for double IS4, double crown, double T110E5 and a mouse. So this is more understandable that ID won't be taking the medium or lights, but it seems that last game not taking any medium or lights seems to have punished ID a lot. And now we're going to be seeing ID committing the forces over to A. GB taking that biggest light. We'll be getting some spots up, some misses going on, some attempts from ID trying to blind fire that bush. And after 8.2 heavies, I think it will be a lot more balanced. The heavies probably won't be as dominant as before. C is going to be captured by ID, and they're going past, but they have taken some hits in doing so. ID, are they just going straight into a push? It seems like so. Berlin has taken a lot of hits, but so is Van Persie. And already been taken out by Monaco at the first minute. Berlin is down, so it's going to be 6 vs 6 at the first minute already. ID is just simply going for a big push, but Spartan Sword needs to stay backwards because now getting pushed by GB. Tokyo is going to focus for ID. They need to get ID and Tokyo out. Radioactive's trying to push Shell into Tokyo. It is successful in the end, but the hit points are neck and neck here. Doha looking to ram onto Lanny, actually takes 6 damage in return. It's now 5 vs 5, and it's 4 tanks onto Yoga and Govinda, potentially. Last one will be dropping the reactive armor, and I think Activity is trying to run away from this situation. But GB once again with, I think, better focus fire and better coordination. It seems GB is looking to win this one and make it to 5-2. Lanny's now down to 1 shot. But ID is not giving up just yet. They still have hit points, but it's now 3 vs 4. And Doha is now down to 1 shot. And Radiator is now tracked. GB is doing an amazing job in getting the focus fire right there. The focus fire here is pretty much perfect. And Yakuza couldn't ram and do damage onto Radioactive. Doha is going to go down to Lasophobe, but Lasophobe with a big bounce there. They have to be careful here. Monaco is going to put shots into Radioactive. ID has to hurry up, but I don't think it's going to end well for ID. GB looking very dominant here. Professor is going to put a shell into LDS, and it's going to put LDS down to a 1-shot, KO'd by Yakuza. And that leaves for me the last person standing. GB didn't get phased at all. Berlin, however, becomes the sacrificial lamb for GB, but that doesn't matter too much. Last one for me is now killed, and that brings it to 5-2 for GB. And I have to say that push from ID is a little bit too panicky. Pretty much, yeah, it's unexpected, but GB, everyone is there to defend. And GB connects better, and their focus fire is better as well, like on top of the game, and that is very important. That GB really deserves to be in the next round. We still have a lot of time left. I think around 30 minutes apart. No one is streaming challenges tonight on the Asia server, but as it stands, GB will not be jinxed by Mabox winning ID 5-2, and GB looked to be GB is the better team for me here, and ID great job so far this season, and will be bowing out of the summer season and not finish top 4 for GB. Great job in advancing to qualifying to the top 4, and they are looking very strong, and their focus fire is pretty much their main reason why they won a lot of matches, and their mouses bounce a lot of crucial shots, so they worked really well with the mouses, and Professor did a lot of damage with that Vickers Light, did almost 5,000 damage. Sometimes you do want a really good Vickers Light player, and Professor seems to be fitting that role pretty well. I'm not sure we have other results on other matches. Oh, yeah, I think Vickers from GB played really smart. It's pretty smart, played smart, and I agree. Professor is a really good player for GB, and he had some really good nights. So it seems tonight is a good night for GB, and it matters the most for GB. You know, having a good night is what puts them to the next round. And let's see. We have other results. Feast won against Enki E7 5-1. No jinxes here. And EA won against ETG 5-1 as well. As for HLV, they're still playing against E7, so we'll know the result soon. So far it has been quite dominant games from the Asia server, the summer season championship. The next games will be not until well, I have to see the time. Not until half past 1 in my time, 8:30 in Hong Kong time, so lots of time to spare. So I'm going to update everything here. So if we look at we'll look at also challenges. Oh, Yakuza is from Singapore. Ah, interesting. Didn't know that. Oh wait, Yakuza. Well, I thought Yakuza. Yeah, it's Yakuza from Singapore, Laos. Laos. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that country name, but okay. DTG, King, Wild, and DTG still playing against Dur. King still playing against Wild. And then we have RN, as I predicted, winning against RI 5-0. So that's the first 5-0 we're seeing here, and it's pretty much what Mapbox is expecting. E4D still playing against 9P, so they are going to be close. So Mapbox at least got the middle echelon championship outcome pretty much correct. Oh, around 100 viewers. Thank you very much for this viewership. Thank you very much. Let's wait until the next one. I think we'll analyze 2 matches. We'll do it, and here we go. And here we go. Mabox, we are seeing King 5-4 Wild. Well, King still playing against Wild, Dur still playing against DTG, 9P still playing against E4D, RN won against RI 5-0, so that's a very dominant victory from RN, and that was predicted correctly. EA 5-1 against ECG, so actually Murbox got this one correct. GB 5-2 against ID was not as close as Murbox thought. And Feast 5-1 against NQV7, also not as close as I thought. Yeah, good luck to ID next time, but I think GB, that focus fire in that last match was just brilliant. Very great to watch, and so far Madbox hasn't jinxed anyone yet. But I could see some jinxes happening in the challenges because they were so close. I don't know how it will go. I think it means that it will go whichever which way. And HLB versus E7 also whichever which way too. So 5-4 means that's pretty much a toss up, you can say. So we still don't know about E7 versus HLB. We don't know about King versus Wild, Dirt versus DTG, and 9B versus Evil D. And the deals no. I will stream Autumn, obviously, and it's not public information about my future, so there we go. Okay, let's go back. Let's see if we have results for other games. Let's go back to the challenges. We'll see both results there. Oh, 5-3 for Der. Well done to Der. And we'll go back to trivia, and let's see if well later on. Kang versus Wild. They're still playing. It could go to tiebreaker at this point now. Evil D versus R9V. They're still playing. So it means they are through to the next round. So yeah, it's pretty much accurate. Der is predicted to win against DTG. That is a correct prediction. So we are now seeing 5 correct outcome predictions, 1 correct scoreline prediction, and let's see about Summer Season Championship. E7 and HLV, they're still playing, however. Oh, E7 won HLV 5-2, so the first wrong outcome is here. E7 won against HLV 5-2, but I mean, I will forgive you if you actually put HLB to win, because HLB lost 1D7 3-0 in the last Gold Series tournament while I was streaming there, so it was kind of a close one. So E7 to win 5-2 is quite unexpected, but kudos to E7. They didn't get HLB got jinxed by Mavox. Right. And we'll have more giveaways, but you'll have to wait for a really long time. But well done to GB, and we'll talk about the next one. Okay, alright. Yakuza is a Laotian, but he migrated to Singapore, and that explains why. Laotian? Let me check the pronunciation of Laos, because Laos. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. Oh, hello Kuga, thank you very much. Make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Seems to have problems connecting with the dictionary. Is Laos or Laos? Actually, both of them are fine. So it's Laos or Laos or Laos. According to Wikipedia, although it's not the best source for best source for information, but it is going to be that. Oh, thank you Wargaming for paying this up. Thank you very much. Oh, well, it seems there's some problem with Asia's server. Someone is forced to play 6 versus 7. And it's Wild. It seems Wild is having that problem, which I have to feel really sorry for. And they are still playing against Kang at the moment. But they lost to Kang 3-5, which is really sad. Fujit's not streaming. No, he's not streaming tonight on the Asia server. But Kang are through, which is what was predicted. E4D versus 9V. It ends 9v5-4. So what can I say about this one? 9v, right outcome there. 5-4 against E4D. King winning against Wild, but it's 5-3, not 5-4. So we are seeing 2 correct scoreline predictions, 7 correct outcomes. So I think with more matches to be played, MacBooks is getting a lot more correct results. So this is great to see. And this algorithm is looking pretty good, but I think for now, for me, just get the right outcome, not the right scoreline, because scoreline can be a little bit too difficult to predict, in my opinion. And let's go back. Okay. Okay, let's analyze a match then. Next match is in around half an hour, so that's a long time to wait. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. Okay, so let's analyze the second match on Oasis Palms for GB versus ID, or ID versus GB, whichever way we are talking about. And the next one, the next match, we're going to be seeing Feast versus GB. It's going to be exciting, and that is Group 1. Group 2, we have E7 versus EA. Okay, so let's go for it. Where is my analysis? Where I'm getting the right window to capture. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's go. I think we'll analyze two matches. So the first one will be this one, and then the second one it will be will be the Dynasties Pro. Follow right after. So let's go. Offside we have mostly to A this time. Yeah, it's going to just put it just 720p 60. GB doing the same thing as last time, and here we go. C is going to be captured by Professor, but ID once again playing with no mediums or legs. It's going to be a little bit weird on the... Okay, so usually you see figures like going into this position, because this position, as you all know, will be there to spot tanks up. There'll be spot tanks crossing into the city, or going to the A side. So you can pretty much spot two things at that point, and you're very close to C as well. So sometimes if you know that the other team's not having any focus on C, you can even capture it and give your team a good hit point pool, give a good cap lead. That being said, you have to be careful of the other team getting back the C cap, so you might have to go back and defend that. That being said, ID they have mostly heavy tanks, so they only have 7 heavy, so GB doesn't have to worry too much on defending C, because if ID decides to capture C, they have to, you know, they have to make a gamble here, because on the other side that will be 6 versus 7 potentially if Professor goes back and supports his teammates, and that heavy tank on C will have to make a big decision into whether to cap that base or to just go in to shut the tanks down. So let's continue. Yes, that's a tournament stream. Yes, you're watching a tournament stream. The map like Oasis Palms, where it's very open, and not sure if that's the best idea, but that will give them some hit point pool lead, that's for sure. GB has to be really careful, but yeah, this is also kind of typical on how you defend on A. Might be too many tanks though. I do recommend some tanks taking this area here, so as to prevent, you know, so as to spot tanks crossing here, and you know that is showing the side armor from this perspective. And also if ID decides to push over to this side, yeah, they decide to push over to this side, this tank here could also relocate and maybe support Yakuza here. So for me, I would say Berlin, I think we'd be better off defending this position, because this position here doesn't really give you a lot of shots to fire. Not quite useful in my opinion, so I would rather have that ice for there is that, but also have to be really careful, because that can be a tough position to play on. You might get focus, you might get crossfired from the desert side, so has to approach it with a lot of caution. But position wise, you will have a lot more information, and you can even put shots into ID if they decide to rush A. Let's continue. So Professor can be very important in securing, you know, C maybe AOB, and maybe even isolating Van Persie there. Wow. So let's go. Monaco receives a little bit of hit, but it seems ID this time is a lot more compact, unable to chip away hit points of GB. GB's made a very bold call to. That I think is a very bold call because absolutely. But they don't have a cap though, so they have to, you know, do something. They don't want to hold for too long. And this can be a big problem, as you can see. ID is in position to defend A. You have these tanks near here to shut tanks down, to put shots into the GV tanks crossing. These tanks it's doing a great job moving backwards, putting a good horizontal straight line with the rest of the tanks. Van Persie is going to be really slow, so it has to be really quick in supporting teammates. I think he might want to go for Yakuza, or might want to support LDS in putting shots onto these tanks. And I think focus fire is going to be important here. To be aggressive all day, and ID is welcoming GB with full arms. And certainly this seems to backfire tremendously. Oh, and this is probably not something you want to be doing in GB because this is the typical vertical straight line, as you can see. Vertical straight line. Yes? Yes, vertical straight line. Problem with vertical straight line. You might be able to side script one another, but the problem is that you have a very obvious tank that is going to be under focus. So in this case, that will be Doha. So absolutely ID, because Doha is at the forefront, we'll be looking to shut that tank down first. Because they're in a horizontal straight line, GB will have a hard time to focus tanks down. And next would be Yogain and Berlin and Monaco in that order. Unless GB decides to, you know, get back into a horizontal straight line. And this way it's going to be a lot harder to get to be focused by ID, and Doha is just a little bit in trouble. I have to say about this one, and the ID is given a great opportunity to shut Doha down. Let's go. And GB's now on the vertical straight line. They try to side straight one another, but it doesn't work this way. Berlin's I mean, GB kind of, you know, I mean, let's go back to like 5 seconds earlier. Berlin went out. Not sure why, but he's just going to distract ID because they might be looking for Doha, so maybe that's a good move. But you have 6 tanks. You can absolutely allocate like 3 on 1. That's fine. That's fine. GB will lose 2 tanks very quickly, but maybe that's not the case in the end. We will see what happens next. To side straight one another, but it doesn't work this way. Berlin's going to be the focus for ID, so ID is looking very strong this time. Last of them is now going to be down to 2 shots, but Berlin's... Yes, and that's good. They killed off Berlin. Doha's still really healthy, and now you're seeing 3 tanks onto 1. Van Persie is in deep trouble. So it all depends now. I mean, hit points are with ID. They have the advantage. They just need to get a focused fire now. Taken out first. Next time they're going for will be probably Doha or Monaco. They have to decide because LES is going to go down. So yeah, if I were ID, you don't have to like 6 tanks onto 1. I would say these 3 tanks, if they can communicate, if the chat is effective, they can go for this tank here, these 3 tanks, or even LDS as well. I will go for Yoga and Govinda because that's the isolated target and it's kind of out in the open. So let's go continue. Down at any minute now. It's going to go down, and Yoga Govinda is going to be next tank down for GV. But Lasso for me is now killed. Yoga Govinda is still able to hang on. Hit point still neck and neck, however. Van Persie, great shot into Yoga Govinda, but it's now going to be killed. Actually, you know what? ID did fine. ID did fine getting the tanks out, and I think it's more to do with GV here. I mean, they did what I thought of. But I think what happened there is like Van Persie showing the backside to Professor Yakuza and Tokyo. So we have to give credits to these 3 tanks here. These 3 tanks did really well. They saw 1 tank on the scene though, so that can be very important information, and that's why they make a push. I think I agree with you. That can be that is a good call for GV, and as you can see, you can just actually the backside of Van Persie and Doha and just go for Van Persie. And Monaco can't do anything, has to stay as long as it could. And I mean, already 5 versus 6. LDS was taken out earlier. Last of will be also taken out. So GV traded well here. And sometimes it's kind of the opportunistic positioning that you're in. And also GV, they have 3 tanks in the middle. Was very important. Those tanks of GV was able to hold long enough. So let's continue to watch what happened next. Put still neck and neck, however. Van Persie, great shot into Yoga Gavinda, but it's now going to be killed. Monaco is now down to 1 shot as well, so that brings it to 4-4. Lenny's on fire, unable to put the fire out. Oh, I think that's very important now. Lanny's going to go down. That ram from Tokyo is unable to kill off Lanny, but that was another. I mean, that's pretty much. It's still close to call, but Lanny's now 1 shot. It's now 3 versus 3 basically. So that's good. Doha now dead. I'm not sure if Lanny's going to survive for long. And great shot into Tokyo as well. ID needs to get a focus fire right. They need to focus the tank down. They're looking. Radioactive has some problems with the turret though, which is very, very sad. But GV, I think the Professor did really, really well in that Vicus Light. Played really cleverly. Didn't go for C. Didn't insist on C, go back, and actually in that position I would say like still able to do something, like not immediately there. You can see I like to see like Professor did what Professor is doing here. I like what Professor is doing here. Just staying around this area and then coordinating with Tokyo and Yakuza, coming from behind, taking tanks out while ID is dealing with the push from GV and Radioactive in this situation. They are struggling to find which tank to focus, either Professor or Tokyo. I will go for Tokyo with lower hit points. But I mean, despite ID doing everything they could, I don't think they defended badly. I don't think they had terrible focus fire. I don't think there is a major mistake by ID. I think in this match. But what happened here? GV just simply did really well. Down the middle, they know that there is someone on A, on C, and that's a Kramwagen, and that's a very, very slow tank. They made a push immediately on A. So I agree with Huang. That is actually a calculated move by GV, and this is sometimes why you do not want to take 7 heavies in an open map. And in a big map like Oasis Palms, in a 6 versus 7 situation, you will struggle to hold on, and it's a lot more difficult than, let's say, like Fort Despair and also Dynasty's Pearl, where you can create choke points. But Oasis Palms, you can't really create choke points. GV loves to focus the mouse, I agree, but sometimes it works. Sometimes it's very important. You know, you saw GV 2 mouses doing more than 10,000 damage together. So yes, I have to give credit to GV. The GV just outplayed ID. ID didn't do anything wrong. They just got outplayed. The only thing I could say is wrong would be not taking a Vicus Light. I think maybe they would have to rethink their strategy on Oasis Palms. I think they need at least 1 medium light, and GV shows exactly why having a good medium light player on this map is so important, and especially Professor spotting up that Kramwagen on C. That gives a lot of information for GV, and yes, this is pretty much the first match I was analyzing. So Just wait for a second, I will continue. I'll do some stuff behind the scenes and I will continue. And you can begin guessing now. Oh, thank you, Bluto. Thank you very much for the comment. Well, let's continue. Let's go for the next match. Do we still have time left? We still have we still have some time. We can do that, absolutely.
Tell me I can run to you. Promise me a rendezvous. Just tell me I can stand the truth. For everything we hope to never lose. 'Cause everything we want, oh, is everything we need. Just like I need you. Oh, it's just like you need me. Oh, now I want to be so alone. Now I want to be so alone. Without my strength I know. Without my strength I know. Strength unknown. Don't give up on me now. You got a 500,000 eyes.
Okay, let's continue. Now, Dynasty's Power is an interesting one, because we'll see soon what's going on there. Let's go. More understandable that ID won't be taking the medieval lights, but it seems that asking not taking any medieval lights seems to have punished ID a lot. And now we're going to be seeing ID, which I was right about that one. I didn't notice how much stuff Professor did there, but Professor did so well in that match. Committing the forces over to A, GV, taking that biggest light. We're getting some spots up, some misses going on, some attempts from ID trying to blind fire that bush. After 8.2 heavies, I think it will be a lot more balanced. The heavies probably won't be as dominant. Yeah, but well, we're seeing IS4 going straight into C. Problem with IS4 is that the mobility is okay, but it's not very quick. So absolutely, I can expect before. C is going to be. I can expect these IS4s to get shots on the crossing. So I would pretty much prefer if that's Kronwagen there instead, because Kronwagen has a speed boost. Could pretty much cross more quickly than the IS4. Or if Kronwagen is too slow without the speed boost, then E5 would still work. I think both of them would be better choices than the IS4 crossing into C. But that's just my opinion. Not sure about your opinion though. Maybe you have a better idea than me, then maybe you have a good reason why you would be taking IS4 instead, while trying to cross over to C. Be captured by ID and they're going past, but they have taken some hits in doing so. ID, I don't think that's a really good coordinated push here. The Kronwagen should not have pushed now. Because look at what GV has. I mean, look also in the southwestern, in the minimap in the southwestern corner. You have 4 tanks, and you also have an extra 2 tanks, I think, around here. I think 2 or 3 tanks around here. Vegas Light from Professor. I mean, pretty much not able to do anything because Ellie is there. But what happened is that you can have shots onto the rushing Van Persie, and also from here. Are they able to choose to shoot these tanks or these tanks? No. This area pretty much prevents any crossfire into the IS-4. And same goes for these this area here, the terrain over here. Pretty much prevents anyone from shooting T-110E5, okay? So realistically, the only tanks they could shoot in this situation is ID's Crown Bargains. So it's understandable that these tanks got taken up very quickly, and that's what and I think if they want to make a push, they have to do it in this way. They have to get the T-110E5s in a more aggressive position first, distract the tanks from this side. Okay, so this has to go first. This is good. Stay there. Don't do anything more. LDS should get a little bit more aggressive, I think. I mean, he's slow, so I don't blame him for that. So first, have the T-110E5s go to a more aggressive position first, and then the Crown Bargains do the next thing to rush those IS-4. Because realistically, at the moment, the Crown Bargains are the only tanks that GB can focus on, and you have to distract these tanks first. You have to distract so that they will focus their forces over to T-110E5s instead of the Crown Bargains. So I think that was a mistake and timing from ID here. ID, are they just going straight into a push? It seems like so. Berlin is taking a little hit, but so is Van Persie. Look at how quickly Van Persie died here, just because Crown Bargain rushed in too early. The T-110E5s are not even there to distract the 3 tanks of GB here. So well done to GB. Great focus on the Crown Bargain. Berlin's almost down, so it's actually neck and neck. But if you can take Crown Bargain out, the IS-4 is just there for armor. The gun is really not that good. So if you take out the IS-4, I think it's not as impactful as a Crown Bargain, where you know the clip can be very important in a lot of situations. Let's continue. Let's see what tanks GB is going for now. And already been taken up by Monaco at the first minute, but it is down, so it's at this point 6 vs 6 at the first minute already. ID's just simply going for a big push, but Spartan Sword needs to stay backwards because now getting pushed by GB. Tokyo's going to... Okay, sorry. So going back a few seconds earlier. Okay. GB are in trouble, I have to say. They have 6 tanks now, 6 vs 6, so ID is going to make it difficult. But however, Landy kind of pushed himself first. So I think that was a great opportunity. Now for GB, the tank they want to go for next would be Landy, because that's an obvious tank that is out of position. Active duty as well, but it seems Landy's a lot closer. So I would go for Landy first, because heavy tanks they don't have a lot of accuracy. So Landy being the closer tank, I would go for that tank first. And let's see what GB's going to do here. It's down, so it's going to be 6 vs 6 at the first minute already. ID's just simply going for a big push for Spartan Sword. Oh, but instead, they didn't go for Landy, they went for Spartan Sword. Which I think it's fine. I mean, they got Spartan Sword to really low health, and he's forced to pull back, leaving Tokyo there though. So ID has to finish off Tokyo very quickly. Very interesting call, but I think it's a good call in the end because they are committing to one tank. It's better to commit to one single tank than to get distracted too much. So great job to GB here. Needs to stay backwards because now getting pushed by GB. Tokyo is going to focus for ID. They need to get ID and Tokyo out. Radioactive's trying to push Shell into Tokyo. It is successful in the end, but the hit points are neck and neck here. Doha looking to to ram onto land, he actually takes 6 damage. Okay, and this is still a bit difficult for GB to focus fire. Hit points to neck and neck is 5 versus 5. So ID, they have Doha to focus next. But GB, which tank can they go for here? Doha is quite distracted. For me, I would go for the active duty, but we'll see what tank they go for next. ID, absolutely, they have to, get into cover. And active duty and last of all, we might be showing their backside, especially active duty. That can be a very juicy target for HE shells, so let's continue to watch. In return, it's now 5 versus 5, and it's 4 tanks onto Yoga, given the potentially last of all be dropping the reactive armor, and last of all we kind of failed to prevent the push from the double crown bargains of GB as well. So let's continue. I think Activity is trying to run away from this situation. But GB once again with, I think, better focus fire and better coordination. It seems GB is looking to win this one and make it to 5-2. Lanny's now down to 1 shot, but ID is not giving up just yet. They still have hit points, but it's now 3 versus 4. And Doha is now down to 1 shot. And I mean, look at how GB is flowing so smoothly here. ID, for most of the entire game, is pretty much like separated and isolated, and GB just, they got the tanks in the right positions and they're able to flow well. So in the end, I think GB deserves to win that one. And now let's get into the room. And we are on Normandy. Okay, Sion Kun is going to stream this match as well. And if you haven't started guessing already, do start now. It's going to be third match of GB. Guess the total damage done by GB in the third match. Do it now, and I will end this after the first minute or so. So please do it now. Meanwhile, I just have to change stuff up behind the scenes, so please bear with me on that. And it's Feast on the left side, GB on the right. Alright, so let's see if it's going to change everything automatically. Let's hope it works. And that's changed screen now. It seems it's working fine. I have to double check next. Okay, let's go. Feast, we are seeing triple crown bargains by James, Mandalorian, and Sugar and Vugu. Double T125s by Bifrost and Risk Barcode, F Silver T22 Hidden Surprise, IS4, GV, Triple Crown by Yoga giving the Doha and the Accuser. Double T125s by Monaco and Tokyo, Professor, the Vickers Light, and Berlin in the IS4. Okay, so Normandy is a map that is quite open, and you'll be expecting a lot of hold down tanks. As you can see, GB taking 5 hold down tanks, Feast taking also 5 hold down tanks. Look, another good reason why you want to take hold down tanks on Normandy is because it's quite undulated, the terrain, I mean. Really good for hold down, because you have a lot of hills that you could work naturally with your turret and hull. And as we saw before, crown bargains are quite popular on Normandy. When you can work together as a group, they can unleash a lot of damage. Okay, I'm loading it a little bit slow, but I'm in now, finally. Hopefully have right things. No, it's not right. Let me just change it very quickly. I forgot about this. And voila, it should be right now. It's not king versus the, it's going to be e7. No, it's not right. Come on, I'm getting the wrong one always. Here we go, let's see if it's right now. Yay, it's right. Feast committing their tanks mostly to A. Mandalorian already took a big hit from GV's tanks. GV got D, but hit points are with GV at the moment because they did really well against Mandalorian. Mandalorian would be guilty about that. Mandalorian taking more hits. Hidden Surprise getting a bit aggressive. Almost got punished by GV by a lot. Professor is in a good position. Took some hits already. The Feast are down by around... Oh, actually no. Feast is okay. They attribute away hit points of GV, although they are also losing hit points. Hit points are not very far... not very far away. Like, it's close. Sorry. And Berlin is going to take some hits, and Feast are in some sort of trouble. They're getting pressured by GV, we can say for sure. Sparkle is in a very far position. Has to be really careful though, because if GV decides to push onto these tanks here in the middle, Feast will be in some sort of trouble, and Tokyo is getting aggressive as well. So I see GV is actually doing a great job at the moment, pressuring Feast. Feast is now doing a horizontal straight line. They're trying to get that line up there. Oh, but I think they're seeing a breakthrough on Monaco, trying to run away. But on the other hand, it's GV making that push. So I think this is going to get really close to call. Great call by GV. GV, they're now focusing onto James. It's now killed. Burn-in is also been taken out as well. This has now gone into a brawl fest. Hidden Surprise trying to get out of this situation, but I think Suga Mugu is trying to run away as well. Some bounces happening from Feast onto GV, and it's just really chaotic. Hit points still with Feast, however. Yakuza is now dead. Mandalorian is also quite low. Hidden Surprise down to a one-shot. It's now 5 versus 5, and I don't know what's going to happen here. Hidden Surprise and Mandalorian both dead, but still 4 really healthy tanks for Feast, but they have to support Suga Mugu now. Suga Mugu is in deep trouble. Yogai Gavin now down to a one-shot. Bifrost bounced that shot, I believe. Wrist Barcode brawling with Monaco right here, but 3 tanks swarming onto Suga Mugu. Are they able to take out Suga Mugu quickly? Professor will be putting a grey shell into Suga Mugu. It is the case. Doha is quite low, and it seems Feast is on top of this one. Now, it's going to be 4 versus 2. Doha is finally dead. Professor is running away from the situation. Tokyo now under 1 versus 3 situation. Professor kills off Suga Mugu and Wrist Barcode, looking for Professor next. Tokyo drops down. Bifrost misses that shell while dropping down. And we are now seeing Professor toying around with Wrist Barcode at this moment. And next, we are seeing Tokyo down to a one-shot. Great job to Feast. That reaction is good. GV, great call. I would say that push is a calculated call. They know that Monaco is there to distract 3 tanks, so they know they are on a 6 versus 4 situation. I think problem is that they are a little bit slow with taking the tanks out. And that is a problem because the Feast tanks on the C or D side are able to come in quickly to shut GV tanks down, and I think GV, the focus fire is not bad, I would say. They're just not quick enough to get the tanks out. That is what I have to say about this. And Feast, immediately, I mean, their focus fire is better than ID, and they're able to shut down a push quite effectively. And Monaco unable to hold on to Wrist Barcode. I mean, 1 versus 1, what can you do about that? And great call from Feast for diverting 2 tanks over to support their team, and great calls from Feast in general. I think they have done everything right. GV just that push almost punished Feast, but Feast knows very well what they're doing here, so I think really good games by both teams. GB didn't really put their foot wrong, I would say. I would have made that push as well if I were them, because 6 versus 4, huge opportunity for you to finish the game out, to finish the game, to see the game out and get that opportunity. You know, you want to get it done, but sometimes good positioning is what matters the most, and when Feast isn't really that far away, then if you're slow in killing the tanks, then you lost that good opportunity, and suddenly you're in a terrible situation. So both teams doing really well, Feast doing better, and they won their first match. So well done to Feast. GB, hopefully they can come back from the last one. They are still a very strong team. I don't think GB made the major mistake here. I mean, Feast actually did some major mistakes too. Well, I don't think it's major mistake, but also did some mistake that is quite punishable too. So let's see what you guys have voted for here. Okay, now we're here. This time Feast is taking Triple Crown, Triple T125 and F Silver the T122, GV Triple Crown, Double T125 the IS4 and Vickers Light. And you guys notice the wrong stuff now. I would fix it for the EU server as well, so that I don't have to do it manually on that one. So Feast, red team's north spawn is going mostly to the B side, with GB blue team south spawn. Let's see what they're going to be doing here. It's really slow here, and the plane crashes, and C is going to be captured by GB. Frames per second still quite low. And stop guessing now. Sorry, I forgot to say that, but stop guessing now. C is going to be captured by GB, and A is going to be captured by oh no, I don't think so. The double crab, no, Doha, Tokyo, and even Professor's there to reset A. But Feast has found a breakthrough in the Yakuza. Well done to Feast. That was something GB kind of overlooked in the defensive setup. And now it's going to be 7 versus 6 for Feast, and Monaco is going to be really low, and now it's down to 818 hit points. Bifrost is on the reactive armor. Yoga Gavinda is looking for Bifrost, I would say. Feast needs to have Bifrost still alive. Hit points still with Feast, however, they are allowing actually Bifrost to die. Which is fine, because they have a lot more hit points. They don't have to do that. The next tank they want to go for is actually Berlin. They want to kill Berlin out because Berlin is really isolated. So that's a good call by Feast here. And James going somewhere else, because 2 versus 1, you don't need 3 tanks versus 1 tank actually. If the other side is in bigger trouble. Bifrost is finally dead. And we also have Berlin also killed. Monaco is down to 1 shot, so 1 more shot from James. No, it's actually Sugar Muga killing off Monaco instead. Hidden Surprise is killed by Doha. Now it's going to be 5 versus 4. The next time they're looking for will be Yoga Gavinda, and James will be looking to land that shell into Yoga Gavinda, and it's now 5 versus 3. Tokyo is going to be the next tank down potentially. Great job to Sugar Muga killing off Tokyo. And Professor's looking for James, and Doha, wrist barcode. He's going to put a great show into Doha, and Mandalorian, great show into the Vickers Light. So Professor's now dead, and that leaves Doha the last person standing this time. I think GB has overlooked about Yakuza's position there. Yakuza was quite isolated there, and I think they sent some... I think they sent an okay amount of tanks over to A, but maybe too many tanks over to C, and they really ignored Yakuza right here, allowed him to get taken out very quickly. And even though they lost Bifrost there, Feast has done a tremendous job also in chipping away the hit points of GB, and Berlin went in alone in a 1 versus 1 situation, and Feast was able to provide backup to that, and Berlin's taken out next. And since it's pretty much a 6 versus 5 situation, it's pretty much over for GB at that point. So I think they will have to reconsider how to position, how to support Yakuza well, because Yakuza shouldn't be dying like that in a situation. I think that's kind of like that's kind of an overlook from GB. And we are now on to the third match on Canal. It's 2-0 for Feast now. I don't watch her saying Monaco is acting as a bait in the first match. Yes, it's a bait. Obviously, it's a bait. It's a yes. We know it's a bait there. But yeah, I mean, GB knows what they're doing there. It was so close, but Feast definitely those two tanks able to support Feast quickly enough. GB wasn't quite. That was the biggest problem. Monaco is not the problem there. I didn't say that actually. So. But I would have to emphasize Monaco was not the problem in the first match. GB did well with the strategy they're putting out. Execution is slightly off, and that is enough to give Feast that important window. Hello to Night Predator, isn't it? Is it Riviat? No. Hello, Trehead Pete, how are you doing? Triple Crown, Double T125, T22, and IS4. Feast, GB, Triple Crown, IS4, Double T125, and a Vickers Light, so it's almost it's almost identical in the set in the lineup here. You're seeing Feast, red team, south spawn with GB blue team, north spawn. You're seeing Feast going for C. But will he get reset? Oh, just going to run away. Interesting call by Feast. They don't want to get C, which is fair enough because we get absolutely reset there. So what do they have in mind next? If Feast is not going for C, they will get D, but A will be captured by GB, so it's on to GB to defend. Feast will need to make the rotation, so I'm very interested to see what Feast is going to be doing now. They're not going to get C, which is fair enough, but they have to hurry up in that rotation. If they don't get C, then that means they will be under lots of hit point disadvantage if they leave it too late. GB will be gaining 6 cap points per second, Feast 3 cap points per second, so Feast has some time. They can try to spot out tanks of GB if they're a little bit careless. Bifrost is spotted. I don't think he's getting shot at the moment. But if GB, you know, GB defends well, and it's going to be hard for Feast to break down. But as I always say, Feast is a very professional clan. It's a top clan. They have a lot of experience playing on Canal. And so they know how to rotate. Canal is pretty much a typical map for clans to train their rotations, because it's quite interesting. It's quite difficult, I would say. You have to rotate out in the open, so you have to absolutely commit to that push. If you don't, then you'll get shot literally everywhere. And if you're against Crown Vargan, something like that, then you don't want to hesitate too much, because they can absolutely reload, stay back and reload that third clip, and suddenly all Feast looking for the rotation. That could be a good call. Let's see about this. Necromancer in the T125 rushing in first. Focuses on Necromancer, but Professor took a big chunk of damage up there, and I think Feast needs to commit now. They're looking a little bit disjointed at the moment. GB still with a hit point advantage. Reinforce going for B next. GB is struggling a little bit. Actually, both teams struggling. B is getting reset by by Monaco and also another tank besides him. But they're going for Berlin first. This is a good call. Sugar looking for Berlin. And next, I think they're going for Yoga Govinda. Hit points with Feast at the moment. Necromancer is now taken out by Doha. And F Silver is toying around with those heavy tanks of GB, but he still has a lot of hit points in that T22. Hit points still with Feast, however, and it's 6 versus 6. Yoga Govinda is going to be the next tank down. Feast unable to get B at the moment, but Monaco is now quite low. Hidden Surprise is also quite low. It's still close to call, and Yoga Govinda will receive a big shell from James here, and F Silver is running away, and that T20 is a bit low, and it's actually hit neck and neck. The hit points. GB with 2 caps now. This is going to be important. Feast needs to kill the tanks out of the game. Bifrost is now killed, and that makes it to 4 versus 6. It seems GB is on top of this now. Feast unable to kill off the low hit point pool target, so credits to GB for that. And that Silver is playing it really carefully because he doesn't want to get killed. And it's now going to be 4 versus 5. Hit points now with GB, cap points now with GB. This is looking really grim for Feast now. Feast down by more than 1,000 hit points unless they're able to get A and B at the same time. James is now killed. That makes it to 3 versus 4. Tokyo still one shot, but Sugabuga dropped their speed boost. F Silver unable to kill off Tokyo. Sugabuga needs to kill off Tokyo, and that's the case. But it seems F Silver is getting chased by GB's tanks. And B might not be captured by Feast, however. Sugabuga needs to land a perfect Eshi shell to the backside of Professor, but Professor is just in time to run away from the onslaught of Sugabuga, and he's in safety. A is now going to be captured by Feast, and Sugabuga will be looking to get B, so now that would draw the attention for GB to go for Sugabuga instead, or are they still toying around with F Silver? Because 2 versus 1, F Silver is probably going to die here. And is it going to be the case? Doha is turning his turret to F Silver, but Professor will be shutting F Silver down and will give GB the cap win. Well done to GB. And I think that was very chaotic, and Feast unable to kill off the low hit point pool targets. In the end, cost them the game. I think the coordination is fine for Feast. They just got a little bit distracted into figuring out which tank to push. Necromancer, I think, rushed in a little bit too early. If Feast is not going for the tanks held down on B, then Necromancer should not go in first. Should stay relatively passively. And GV did really well in shutting down Feast tanks. They did better with the focus fire here. And here we go. 5 tanks do more than 2k for Feast, and GV 3 tanks do more than 2k. Okay, now we're going to be seeing GB, triple Crown Vargas by Yoga Govinda, Doha and Yakuza, Monaco in the T125, double IS4 by Berlin, and Tokyo and Professor the Vegas Light. Feast, on the other hand, we're seeing double 50 Beast by Bifrost and Hidden Surprise. James in the IS4, Vegas Light will be played by F Silver, Necromancer and Shigebugu, double M60 potentially, and Mandalorian in the IS4. I think Feast, they have done fine in that rotation. I think really it has to do with the focus fire in the end and taking out the low hit point pool targets. And Necromancer rushing a little bit too early. I see a lot of the times that the tank on the north side, when rushing from C, from the south side over to the north side, the tank near the green spawn you're seeing there, near Feast spawn. No, near GV spawn, isn't it? Yeah, near GV spawn, which is the northeastern spawn, went in too early. And this is something teams need to figure out once again how to coordinate your teammates well. And sorry, I pressed the wrong button. It was written third game, but I announced the end of the guessing earlier. Yep. On my end, it's after the first game, so on the stream also after the first game. This is to prevent, you know, players from Feast and GB going onto my stream and typing the exact damage number. Okay, so we don't have that. Feast, red team, north spawn with GV blue team south spawn. So Feast will be going for B, I believe. Yes, this is going to be the case. But James going really aggressive to reset GV here. Let me just update the scoreline for a second. It's going to be 2-1 for Feast at the moment. GV won that last game pretty nicely. And James already took some hits trying to cross. Hit points are with GB at the moment. They're trying their best to reset C, and they've done really well in doing so. I mean, look at Berlin trying to pull back Tokyo, also taking some hits. I assume that was a blind fire right here. Spotted once again. Are they able to get C, or are they unable to get C? And I think now we're seeing teams able to reset C better than resetting B. And it's once again GB that needs to do rotation to shut Feast tanks down. It's going to be another hard job for GB, but once again GB has a lot of experience with rotation. If they can coordinate the rotation well, they can absolutely win this one, but it's a hard one to do. So let's see what's going to happen here. Tokyo and Berlin, IS4s, trying to hold on to C. If they want to go for C, they can, but it's going to require some effort without getting spotted. James will be there to spot tanks up, actually, and maybe also F Silver in a good position. And Feast, all they need to do is to avoid dropping more hit points, because they have the hit point advantage slightly, and they will make sure they don't drop too many hit points now. So it's going to be quite dull, which is to be expected for Canal, and GB has to be quick in the rotation, and because once again Feast will be gaining 6 cap points per second, GV 3 cap points per second. Mandalorian in the IS4. Oh, great shots into Berlin. Oh no, that was not the best call from GB. I would say they're looking for James now. James have to survive, but already GB has taken a lot of hits. So GB losing, GB being sent back to garage might not be actually a big problem. I think James only managed to splash onto the backside of Monaco with the HE shell. James is now dead. It's now 7 versus 6. GV, they're going to lose Yoga Gavinda and Monaco very soon, but Professor is there to farm Feast, or is he going to go away? We're now seeing Sugar Mugen in some sort of trouble. Monaco is now down to one Yoga Gavinda as well. Sugar Mugen needs some help because now GB is looking for Sugar Mugen. Potentially Sugar Mugen could be the next tank down. If he's not provided support quickly enough, Bifrost in that 50B, Yoga Gavinda is finally dead. That was a great kill. Monaco is also dead. That's another important kill with Tokyo also dead. It's now 6 versus 4. Hit points with Feast at the moment, and also cap points as well. GB is trying their best to make it close. They killed Sugar and Mugen too. That brings it to 5 versus 4. And Feast needs to regroup now. Mandalorian is going to get into safety. Great shots into Doha. Bifrost will be there to shut down Doha. We will see from Bifrost's perspective. Great shot into Doha. Another shot into Doha, I would say. Yes, it is. And Doha's now down to 1 shot. And Berlin receives a bounce, actually. And Yakuza just goes straight in, looking for Necromancer next, I would say. And we're seeing Yakuza unable to shut down Necromancer, is forced to pull back, otherwise he would die. And Feast looking better than ever in getting this win here. And the 5 versus 3 it is. Berlin is now dead. Doha is now 1 shot. F Silver is looking for that win. And that shot, that killing shot, would bring Feast the next victory. No, you will not get good by watching the stream. You might get better passes for watching the stream though. Mutsu is mod, yes. Kyusho, why are you surprised about this? Silver versus Professor, yes. That's something we want to see. F Silver, you know, the usual, the biggest light player for Feast. Professor, the biggest light player for GB. GB this time 4 times doing more than 2k. Feast 5 times doing more than 2k. I think the rotation is not as good as Feast at the start, but they brought it closer than Feast did in the last match, and I think what GV did better than Feast in this one is that they had a better focus fire. They found isolated targets better than Feast do, but the rotation at the start was not the best. I don't think that's the best way to rotate, because you suddenly you just rotated right out in the open, but it took a big chunk of damage doing so. And Feast was already like 2,000 hit points up at that time. So what Feast did better last time is that they had they rotated in a better way, but they didn't quite manage to get the focus fire right in the end. So now we're going for Feast versus GV. As it stands, 3-1 for Feast. Thank you, Mutsu, for joining in. See you later then. And I would close my restream because it's kind of taken a toll on the stream quality. And I think this is going to help now. I want to watch C-Pop playing. Mostly you're a mod because you're helpful to my streams, and okay, let's see. Risparkle say go caves. Where are the caves? We don't have any caves of Himmelsdorf. So Feast 3-1 at the moment against GV. Feast south side with GV on the north side, and F Silver is going to get spots up potentially. GG, yes, you're right. Feast is a really good clan, and C is going to be captured by GV with Feast looking to capture B. And Sugar Moon, on the other hand, is there to hold down in this balcony. On this balcony, C is going to be captured by GV, and Feast will not be getting D. It's going to be GV that will get D. An interesting call for Feast, this kind of defensive setup. I'm interested to see how it's going to work. But A is going to be captured by Feast, and B also more quickly. So Feast will have the hit point cap point advantage. In terms of hit point advantage, Feast also has the lead, but it's not by much. So absolutely one shot from GV, one penetration shot from GV would change things up. Yeah, yeah, we need a donation link. We need I need a new PC pretty much. But I don't know, I probably won't stay here for another year. Might be moving next year though, so we'll see about that. Mandalorian has taken a big chunk of damage too, and he's actually in a very aggressive position here. But as we see, GV is pushing the line up hard, applying pressure onto Feast, but in the fact, inevitably, Tokyo's is a little bit isolated, but GV is holding off this side really well with Sparkled and Co. So this time now GV is going to make that push onto the ice wall, so suddenly Tokyo is not isolated, and James is suddenly isolated, and Bifrost as well. So it's now going to be neck and neck. It's all about focus fire now. Tokyo is going to be really low, and it's going to be killed first by James. Bifrost is going to go down next by Yoga Govinda. Hip is still neck and neck. It's still very close to call. Don't know what's going to happen next, because Professor might be next time down for GV, and V is going to put a great shot into Professor here. And F Silver, no, Shigebuku kills off Yakuza. Is now 6 versus 5, but James is going to go down in no time. So that brings it to 5 versus 5. Hit points now in favor of GV, so GV is in advantage now, with D looking to be captured by Risparkle, drawing the forces of GV out. So that means Feast might be able to focus down Yoga Govinda and Berlin next, and maybe they will look for Doha. And with Professor now dead, Risparkle able to hold up 1 versus 2, and Monaco could be the next time, could be killed soon. Risparkle is going to be killed by Monaco, and that brings it to 4 versus 4. Hit point still with GV, and Hidden Surprise now dead, bringing it to 3 versus 4. This looks pretty good for GV at the moment, and we're seeing Shigebuku looking good, putting a great shot into Doha, despite the heroics by Risparkle. This isn't enough to give Feast. Or maybe I said it too early. Hit points are now neck and neck here. It's too close to call. Mandalorian probably the next tank down because Yoga giving the puts a great shell. Second shell into Mandalorian. Berlin bounces onto Mandalorian. Yoga giving the great shot into Mandalorian. Mandalorian is given a lifeline here. The cap points are still with Feast, so I'm not sure if Mandalorian can survive for long enough. He's taken out by Doha next. And Yoga Gavinda is now down to a 2-shot, and Sugar Mugu and F Silver is now trying to work together, looking to kill off both Berlin and Yoga and Gavinda. And here we are. Feast needs to kill one tank to get back the hit point pool lead, but they can do a cap stop on D momentarily. F Silver is now down to a 1-shot. Sugar Mugu just going straight past. Looking to kill off Berlin. Yoga Gavinda is not going to be killed. Sugar Mugu is now killed by Berlin. Surely this is going for GV, and that brings it to 3-2 for GV. GV is now 1 match behind Feast, and this is still really close to call. And Feast, we have 6 tanks doing more than 2k. GV, 6 tanks also doing more than 2k. And now we're going to be seeing the 6th match. We're now on Himmelsdorf back once again. Feast against GV. I think GV did well this one. Applied pressure on the Feast really well. The Feast hesitated whether to go forward and to shut down Monaco, but I understand that because GV was looking at that exactly. They were waiting for Feast to make that push. And because GV is in control of this match, they were able to go for the IS-4, and that elicited a response from Feast to support those IS-4s, and that kind of, you know, threw Feast off guard a little bit. In the end, GV came out on top once again with the control of the map and the control of the tempo of the game. And I have to say, GV once again, a focus fight is pretty good too. Feast is not far behind, I would say, but they got pretty much outplayed by GV in this one, so well done to GV. Alright. GV might have lost, but they want us to give away. Oh dear, I hate when people just watch the stream for giveaways rather than, you know, for the matches. Here we go. Feast this time. Double IS-4, double mouse, double crown. GV double crown, double mouse, triple IS-4, I believe, isn't it? Yes, triple IS-4. Yes, it is the case. F Silver in the T22 this time. That can be important. That medium tank can roam around the map and do a lot of amazing stuff. But that will also give GV the hit point pool at the start. They're down by around 1000 damage here. So let's head up high and see what Feast is going to do in this match. GV going very heavy because it's obviously a Himmelsdorf. Everything is flat. But it's good, you're going to expect them to go for D, obviously. B is going to be captured by Tokyo at the start. Mandalorian once again getting spots up. F Silver also spotted already. Will he go for A next? Because I assume GV will get a cap lead this time, and it's going to be hard for Feast to rotate and break GV's forces down. B Frost is going to get A as C. Tokyo receives a hit. James has side stripping in this area, and it's going to be typical if he's going to bounce a lot of shots. Mandalorian, I think, missed the shell. I don't know where it landed. C is going to be captured by Feast with B and D captured by GV. A is going to be captured by Feast, I have to say, I think. Hidden Surprise and F Silver looking for Tokyo, I believe. Was it not? Double Crown Vargans moving backwards. Yoga Gavinda and Professor staying safely. Feast still holding on. They're trying to chip away the hit points of GV, which they have done fairly well on at the moment. And another shot into Monaco. Feast really working with that crossfire. Look at their map control here. GV is trying to hold on, but they are getting shots at from multiple angles. So Feast is now gradually applying pressure onto GV, and I think they should cap A, because GV knows there are tanks on A anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you get A or if you get A. Because if you get A, GV can't really push onto A at the moment, or to the other side. Feast is well defended. The double bouncers will be there to absorb a push over to D if GV decides to do that. And we now see GV looking to rotate their forces to defend their spawn. The bouncers to defend D, but they have to absolutely make sure not to drop more hit points because they are now under around 1,000 hit points of difference. Alright, on the other hand, Feast is still really healthy. Bounce only dropped slightly in the hit points, and this bodes well for Feast to make a good rotation. C-Park also dropped some hit points. Hit points to neck and neck. And if I were Feast, how can you rush in this situation? I mean, they spread out really nicely. Tokyo might be the tag I would go for. But it's still really close. It's still really hard. GB is defending really nicely. I do think it's going to be really difficult. Double bouncers looking to get aggressive onto D, but he's getting shot at as well. So I think Feast needs to start to close in onto B, and B Frost is going to do so, I believe, or is it not? Okay, I think B Frost might be able to push shots into Doha. It's going to be the case. 2 versus 1 onto B here. Tokyo and will be shut down by both F Silver and Hidden Surprise. Meanwhile, you see GB making a push onto the other side. I think that was a good call from Feast. From GB, they want to shut down Z Park, but Feast responded immediately. James is now dead, and Feast is unable to kill a tank at the moment. Doha is now down to a one-shot, and Z Park is also down to a one-shot. Monaco looking to kill off Z Park, isn't it? And it's a bounce though. C-Park bounces onto Yakuza as well and is killed by Berlin. And it's now going to be 5 versus 6. 2 bounces, very low health for GV. Hit points with GV now. Cap points definitely with GV. And Feast is ignoring B at the moment. Monaco's looking for C. That cap stop can be very important though. GV needs to make sure those mouses have to stay alive. Mandalorian reloaded his full shell and is going to put each shell into Berlin, and it's looking really good for GB at the moment. If they can hold on long enough, Feast would not win this one. It's going to be GB unless Feast kills off those mouses here. Mandalorian is now dead. Yakuza is also dead. That brings it to 4 versus 2. Hit points in huge favor of GB now. They are leading by more than 3,000 hit points. And Berlin is now quite low. His surprise now down to a one-shot. Will be killed by Monaco. And Yogai Govinda, it will be killed by Monaco. Even if Feast kills off Professor, GB gets 1,000 cap points more quickly than Feast. And I think Feast would be pondering whether they should have captured B on the way, because GB applied a lot of pressure for Feast to hurry up with their kills, and Feast unable to kill off those mouses quickly enough. They were left down to one-shots, and Z Park unable to kill off the one of the mouses could be important. But Feast, I mean GB did really well to push on the other side despite defending quite compactly. So, well done to Feast, and well done to GB, I mean. Feast didn't do terribly in this one, but I have to say, GB, with that performance here, it looks really good. And we're now 3-3, and it's still really close score. We're on Black Gover now. Feast is an international clan. They have players from a lot of different regions: Australia, Singapore, I believe. I think I can check it, but that message was hidden. Was hidden somewhere. So let's go and see Black Gover now. Feast, Double Crown, Double IS4, Double T110E5s, and Vickers Light by F Silver. Berlin, Triple Crown, double T175, a Vickers Light, and an IS-4. Yes, it's hard doing a match while watching, so you should focus on watching the stream rather than playing a match while streaming. Let's go. Oh, I thought I was kicked out of the match, but not. It's not the case. Feast versus GB. Feast, red team, GB, blue team. So Feast, red team on north spawn with GB, blue team on the south spawn. So let's see where they're going. Feast looking to go towards the A side. Let's go down and see F Silver. F Silver looking to get some spots up. GB is going for C, and F Silver is going to get A. And will Professor be able to reset F Silver here? We'll find out soon. Professor spotted. F Silver is not getting reset. He actually pulls back too much, and A is getting recaptured once again. But there is no one to reset C, so I think GB will get the cap lead once again. And F Silver will be capturing A first, actually. Oh, are they going to cap it together? It seems GB got it slightly more quickly. I don't know. It's too hard to call, so I think both teams need to do something. Situation like this happens. Like this happens. Situation like this happens. So interesting to know what both teams are going to do now. They're going to chip away hit points of one another. And when they know they have enough hit point advantage, they make a push. And Feast didn't get this. F Silver in that Vickers Light. Professor is in a really good spot in that bush. Campbell rating is going to be really high, so I don't think F Silver is able to spot up Professor. He knows this one, and it's going to be really hard to call. Sugar and Mugu taking some hits already in that Kramwagen Eye and trapped. But I'm out now. Sugar and Mugu spotted, and Feast is holding on, and so is GB. I think both of them is gambling on the fact that they have the cap lead. So if it goes into 1,000 capture points, I think GB is going to win this and put them to match point. Mandalorian in that Kramwagen. I don't know what to say about this. Berlin is spotted. Receives a bounce. Bifrost and Hidden Surprise looking for B. I think Feast is lining up for push on B now. Meanwhile, we are seeing Feast also lining up near the GB spawn. It's still a tight one. It's still very tight, very tight. Berlin is spotted. Yakuza is spotted. Don't know what to say about this. We don't know what to say about this. GB still hang on. But they have more hit points now. They have chipped away hit points of Feast nicely. Feast has dropped the ball looking for B. But Berlin is absolutely isolated. Hidden Surprise going very aggressively. So is Berlin in trouble. But absolutely GB can. Oh, Feast is ignoring B at the moment. They're looking to shut down Berlin first and then go into B next. But Feast still quite separated and disjointed, so Feast needs to come in as soon as possible. James is dropping the reactive armor. Briss Barker also dropping the reactive armor. But Feast needs to get a focus fire right. And we have seen Hidden Surprise taken out by Yoga Govinda. So already one tag down for Feast. and it's going to be 6 versus 7. Hit points are neck and neck though. Risk Barcode and James are now in. They're looking to kill off Yoga Govinda, and that's the case. Berlin's probably the next time down to one shot. The ram from Bifrost is enough to kill off Berlin. Next tag the Feast is going for will be Doha. Doha on fire, and the fire can't be extinguished. Will be taken out very quickly. Risk Barcode is the next tank down. Hit point still very close. Feast has the hit point pool advantage. Now we're seeing it's going to be 5 versus 4. Mandalorian will be shut down by 2 tanks, and it's now down to 1 shot. And Yakuza down to 328, 27 hit points. 1 more shot, and it will be taken out. Bifrost is going to be killed. Will be killing Yakuza, and finally Bifrost is now down to 1 shot, and Tokyo is now tracked. Bifrost is now killed by Capricorn, sorry, and it's now going to be 3 versus 3. Professor's still really low, but he's in the biggest light. He will be chased. He will be chased by F Silver, however. So if F Silver is able, no, it's actually Sugar Moo killing off Professor. That brings us to 3 versus 2, and Feast is very close to winning this one, bringing it to 3 at 4-3 now. Well done to Feast. And GB, great job in killing off Hidden Surprise. But I think Feast Focus Fire improved over the course of the game, and they regrouped quickly enough so that GB is not able to shut down isolated tanks just in time, and that fire onto Yoga Govinda, I believe, was quite unfortunate, but it was a huge factor in Feast's win. It's a huge brawl fest, as you see. It's very chaotic, but when you have this kind of RNG with fires and so on top of that you have good focus fire, and that is pretty much the reason why Feast won it instead of GB. But I think both teams did really well. Once again, this one, it was still really close call. It was a high level performance by both teams doing really well in trying to shut down the isolated tanks, but it seems Feast able to break down GB's forces better than GB is able to. So it's now going to be 4-3 for Feast, and potentially 1 more win, and then it's going to be 5-3 for Feast, unless GB wins the next one, bring it to a tiebreaker. Hello Lagrusha, Blitz, with love as well. This is really intense. And now we're going to be seeing Feast, triple IS4, double Crab Bargain, a T125 and a Vickers Light. GB, triple T125s, double Crab Bargain and IS4 and a Vickers Light. Let's go. Stratolate saying 7-star. Alrighty. Feast, triple IS4s, double Crown, a T125, a Vickers Light, GB. Oh, we announced it already, so why am I doing this once again? Just to suffer. And hit points are with Feast by a tiny little bit, so 1 or 2 shots will give GB back the hit point pool advantage. So Shigemugu going for B, but then also going for B. Yakuza looking to reset B here. Hidden Surprise is spotted, Berlin is spotted, Bifrost might be spotted, will be spotted, and A will be captured by GB. Tokyo is in A, and that means GB will have to cap this surely this time. I don't think Feast will be able to get C more quickly, and it's definitely going to be GB with the cap lead. Thank you for subscribing, whoever it is. Sorry I can't pronounce the name, but thank you for that. B is going to be captured by Feast, and C will be captured by Feast. And it's going to be the case, isn't it? Bifrost won't be decapped. He won't be decapped, and that will give Feast a lot of cap point advantage. GV has to hurry up the rotation because 10 cap points per second for for Feast now to increase. GB 5 capitals per second. Berlin a little bit getting punished by Feast forces. So Feast definitely pushing their lineup, pressuring GV. So GV is in deep trouble now. Riz Sparkle is getting shot at as well. Hit still close, but Feast has the hit point pool lead. And with Mandalorian drawing more hit points, it's still close. Hit point's still really close. Great shot onto Tokyo by Bifrost. And I think GB are sensing a breakthrough in this, but they're hesitating a little bit. So Feast are now able to rotate and respond to this. Bifrost might be given a lifeline here. Doha looking for Bifrost, and we'll be putting the first shell into Bifrost. The second shell, Capricorn is going in. Bifrost going to go down very soon. I think GB has found a breakthrough. That's a great breakthrough right here. The next tank they're going for will be Hidden Surprise. Feast, they need to do something because they're going to lose Hidden Surprise very quickly. It seems they're unable to do something here. Feast is still very spread out. So well to GB. This looks pretty good for GB now. Hidden Surprise going to go down. That will make it to 5 versus 7. And Feast, they might lose B here. But Doha is going to go down to Sugar and Mugu. Doha's trying to use the speed boost and try to side scrape with that ice wall, but will be killed by Mandalorian. It is now going to be 5 versus 6. Riz Sparkle is going to be the next tank down for GV, and it's going to be the case. Riz Sparkle is now down 4 versus 6, and B is going to be captured by GV, but Sugar Mugu is making sure that is not going to happen. But that's a cap stop. And also GB killing 3 tanks would mean GB has the hit point pool lead and the cap lead. Yoga Gavina is now dead. Mandalorian also now dead. It's now 3-2 versus 5. Sugar Mugu is now finally dead. GB looking to get B, and Feast is in deep trouble. And GB will be bringing it to a tiebreaker. Well done to GB. And Feast, I think they didn't quite respawn when they get pushed down the middle, and they were spreading out quite a lot actually. It's quite typical. I see that a lot with EU teams, but what EU teams would do in that situation, they would immediately group up and shut the tanks down, trying to punch a hole in the defense. I mean, Feast did that a couple of times before, so it feels a bit strange suddenly they're not doing so. And those two kills from GB, the IS4 kills, really inspired GB and propelled them to victory. And great focus fire, great choice to make a push. Thank you, Nat. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. So we are now going to be seeing 4-4 now. It's exceptionally close. Yukon, this is going to be a tiebreaker map. Wow, I have to say, this is really tense. Elysium saying could have killed them without driving into that huge crossfire. Oh no, forgot about that last match. It was a little bit too, I don't know. I can't recall, I have to say. Let's go. Feast, we are seeing double T125, so Bifrost and Riz Sparkle, Sugar Mugu M6Yo, F Silver and the T22 Mouse by Hidden Surprise, Mandalorian and James double Crown, GB on the other hand, triple T125 by Capricorn, Yoga Govinda and Tokyo, Doha and the Crown, Professor Vicus like Berlin, IS4, Yakuza and the Mouse. Elysium. Alpha say Elysium should go make calls for Asia teams. Yak Tiger best tank. No, I disagree with that. DD, it's a good tank. Don't get me wrong, really good DPM. But here we go, the tiebreaker for tonight: Feast versus GB. We'll see soon what's going to happen here. Telepai, shall we? Feast Red team north spawn, GB blue team south spawn. We now see James and Hidden Surprise going for B, trying to get B captured. GB on the other hand will get C captured. The cap points will be with GB because GB went into C more quickly, but no, maybe not. Because Feast is going for D as well, and A is just only being captured at the moment by GB, with B getting captured already and D to be captured by Feast soon. This time it's going to be GB that needs to make a rotation rather than Feast, because Feast has the cap point advantage. Okay, so the mouse, James and Hidden Surprise will be defending B, because B is usually the cap that is the cap that is most don't know how to put it this way. A lot of teams rotate into B. Most teams rotate into B when they don't have cap lead on A and C. So Feast needs to defend B, and if they can't, they would lose the cap advantage. F0 has to be really careful that T22 does not want to commit way too much, because absolutely that's an isolated tank right here, and Feast can't basically defend over half of the map. Hello Pride, how are you doing? Stalini. Thank you for subscribing, Stalini, whatever it is. But anyway, yeah, it's the game rather than the stream, because for my stream it's now already 4,500 kilobytes per second, and I don't know what's taking a toll for my gains. Just the lowest graphic settings and still pretty laggy. So Feast is still defending, and we're seeing Sector 2 getting the attention. James is still holding, but he's quite alone doing so. Feast is quite spread out at the moment, so I do have a feeling that GB might be able to find a breakthrough, just like last time, onto Feast's defensive setup. And we're seeing Mandalorian rotating to support James here. And oh, great shot into Mandalorian by Yoga Govinda. Hit points still with GB at the moment, and Feast still holding on. And Berlin still spotted. Mandalorian still getting spotted. And we are now seeing James taking some hits as well. B is going to be captured by the Yakuza here. And we are also seeing GB, B Frost looking for C, and C is going to be captured by Feast here. And we're seeing Yakuza getting pushed by Feast tanks. Might be in deep trouble. F0 great shot into Yakuza. And now GB is going to make that great push onto the double crown bargains. This is actually close to call, but Feast has 3 caps. Yakuza is dead. GB has to get the kills now. They have no time but to get the caps. Mandalorian is now dead, and James will be the next tank down. Hippo's still really close to call, but Feast now looking for A, so potentially Feast will get all 4 caps. And GB might have put too many tanks, maybe not, onto those double crown bargains, and Feast is looking stronger than ever, and they have 4 caps now, and they are now around 900 cap points. They're making a cap stop on B, but the A and C and D are all very far away to where the GB tanks are, so I would say Feast, if they don't lose too many tanks now, they are going to win this one and bring it to 5-4 and get first in their group, and we'll get a good seeding tomorrow. Doha will be killing Hidden Surprise. Is it the case? No. Both Capricorn and Professor both killed first. Hidden Surprise killed next. And we'll see if Yoga Govinda is going to be killed next though. And it's not going to be the case. And well played to both teams. Feast 1,000 cap points. The cap plays brilliant when GB decides to push onto the Crown Bargains. Feast went for C. And they also went for A. And they held there long enough near the spawn. Great job to Feast. They held really well. GB perhaps sent too many tanks over to just only double crown bargains. I think they've tried everything they could to kill them off, but by doing so they gave up their caps on A especially. C can't really do anything in this situation, but they should have committed slightly more tanks on B. And I think this is a great game from Feast. GV will be. I think they would need to do something else. Probably they should send some more tanks over to B. Instead of like 5 onto that single, the double crown bargains. GV won because premium tank? No, I don't think so. GV won because they focused down double IS4 nicely. The last match, I think. So great job to Feast. 5-4 to GV, and let's see other results of other games. We'll go for E7 versus EA. Oh, EA won against E7, 5-4. So it went to a tiebreaker. It was so close, but EA won in the end. So well done to EA. So that means Feast against E7 and GV versus EA tomorrow. I'll be notified about which team to follow tomorrow, and they will be really great games once again. So thank you to my mods for doing the give for helping with the moderation, and I will announce the winners shortly. Der won against King, 5-1. Great job to Der. RN won against 9V, 5-1. So RN had a good night, and they will be facing King tomorrow. Der will be facing 9V tomorrow, and this is going to be tense. And yes, tomorrow it will be a double elimination, and that will be spread out across 3 days. But apart from that, this has been me, Wellman's Helper. It's been a long stream, 2 hours and a half. So I have to get lunch soon, and I will try my best to be ready for Bravo and the results. And apart from that, has been a pleasure to be following the Summer Season Championship on the both Asia and EU servers. So for now, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you all. Bye for now. Not bye for now, because I have to announce the giveaway results. Okay, so let's go and look at I'll go look at the Excel sheets. Okay, we got winners, so I'll announce the winners very soon. Okay, so here are the giveaway winners for tonight. Okay, so congratulations to these guessers for getting the right predictions. Getting the closest predictions, and you'll be receiving your battle passes around at the most 4 to 5 days after. Around 4th to 5th of August. Let's see if Wargaming is going to be efficient enough to hand out the battle passes just in time. However, the 31st is a Saturday, so Wargaming won't be up until the 2nd of August, which is on a Monday. So, expect you will not get any battle passes, premium battle pass, on the 1st of August. But don't worry, Wargaming would refund the progress of the 1st of August, so don't worry about that, and you should be able to get your battle pass at the earliest 2nd of August. So don't buy a battle pass on the 1st of August if you have won a battle pass on my stream. So thank you all for watching. It has been a great fun following Asia server tonight, and I hope to see you all back tomorrow. We begin with hopefully we'll begin with Feast versus, I don't know, we'll see which game Wargaming is going to assign me to. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you all later on the EU server. Bye for now.